6'8". The way I'm shooting, my recruiter is from Big State. The way I'm balling, I should probably have a mixtape. Feds on production. Baby help me count it, plus her head on concussion. Know they hate to see it cause the gang so lit. Thick rope, made my son think he can swing on it. And I ain't gon' spit lest it come with a price. You bang on Mitch, better run for your life cause it's tragic. But it was cool while it lasted. Go stuff him with his partner, save up on cash. Off gaps and my brody on 10. Clearing out the crowd like they know we gon' win. Know the feeling ain't the same when we touch. I'm still tripping off a cane and a crutch.
Welcome to Old Man Sports Talk. I'm your host, Old Man Nate. And today, Old Man Nate is going to release his top 25 and his college football predictions. Now, I do want to explain a couple things. On my top 25, I do it a little bit different than probably what most people do. And the reason I did it this way is in order to make my college football predictions as accurate as I could get it, I had to do it this specific way. And what I did, so my top 25 is also in a way the top 25 I'm predicting at the end of the season. So it's not only top 25 today, it really kind of the top 25 at the end of the season. Now, I will say I am going to release the top 25 every week, and there could be changes throughout the year. Obviously, if I'm way wrong on a team or two, then there'll be some changes with those teams. But what I will say is if a team suffers a loss, unless it's a huge loss or a really big upset, there's a chance that I may not change them from the spot that they're currently in. Now, when we start getting multiple losses, then obviously those changes could take place. So just want to kind of give that brief update before I get into releasing my top 25. But here we go. Let's go ahead and add to it. So here's Old Man Nate's top 25. Now, here's some teams that are listed on the outside looking in. They're just outside. These are 10 teams that are just outside the top 25 that very well could end up in the top 25 sometime throughout the season. And so it's got Oklahoma State, Florida, Wisconsin, LSU, and Nebraska. North Carolina, who barely won last night, and they lost their quarterback, which I did not actually see the injury yet, but Max Johnson, from what I've heard this morning, had a gruesome injury last night. And so that, to me, that probably means he's done for the season. I don't know. I don't even know what the injury was. I just read a headline that said it was a gruesome injury. Michigan, I know that's surprising people. They're defending national champions, and I've got them outside my top 25. Tulane, Louisville, and Air Force. Now, really quick on how I decided my top 25, just to give a breakdown. So I have a Phil Steele magazine, and I look at that, and I go over the position rankings. I go over what each team has coming back, how they did last year, especially with those returning players, how they did, and their schedule. Okay, schedule played a big part of it, and we're gonna talk more about that, especially on one team here in a little bit when we release their ranking. But all that together came up with and it was a point system, and all that came up with a number. Okay, and then that number helped me determine if you were going to win games or lose games when you put those numbers up against their opponents. And then also it helped me place these rankings, okay, along with the projected record I have for each team. So that's how I did this, just to kind of give you a little breakdown. And everybody got to have their own formula, their own system, and that's what I came up with. So here's a first slide of the 25. blanks, and let's get right into it. So at 25, I have TCU. At 24, I have Liberty. Now Liberty finished like 16th last year, made the Fiesta Bowl, got embarrassed by Oregon, and that was their only loss this season. And if 12 teams would have been in the playoffs last year, Liberty would have made that 12th spot. At 23, I got NC State. NC State had a scare last night. I actually did not see the final score to see if they won or not. But yeah, at 23, I got NC State. UTSA, I got at 22. At 21, I have Boise State. At 20, I have Missouri. I know this is a big surprise. I think they're ranked 11th. Excuse me. Think they're ranked 11th in the preseason polls coming in or heading into the season. So a little lower than what everybody else has them. At 19, I have Virginia Tech. 18, Florida State. And by the way, so last week's games and even the games that were last night did not reflect at all on these rankings. Okay. Everything that I did was preseason wise. So I have Florida State ranked 18th, which is lower than the national media. At 17, I have Iowa State. At 16, I have UCF. At 15, I have my Oklahoma Sooners, which is right around where the national media has them at. 14, I have Iowa. 13, Texas A&M. 12, Alabama. I know that's a lot lower than most people, but yeah, that's where I've got them. I've got Alabama at 12. 11, I have Clemson. 10, Penn State. 9, SMU. Now, this is a big shocker for I know everybody like, what? Because SMU is not even ranked in the top 25 for the other polls as the coaches or the AP poll. And so here's the thing, and this is what I'm getting into when I talk about schedule. This is the team specifically I want to talk about. So SMU ranked in the top 25 at every single position, every one. And their schedule is they're in ACC now, and their schedule is pretty weak compared to the majority of the ACC teams, especially those with as many players coming back as SMU did, and position rankings ranked so high. So everything lines up for them to be a really, really good team. Also, and I'm talking about schedule. So, there's 4 projected really good teams in the ACC, and that's Clemson, Miami, Florida State, North Carolina State. Okay, that's 5 teams I just named, and out of those 5 teams, they play one of those 5 teams. That's it. And that is Florida State, and they get them at home. So I really think that they could run through, especially if you watch my ACC breakdown, I really do think they can run through the ACC and end up in the conference championship. So, and I can see them really going undefeated. I know last week they had a scare with Nevada, but in the fourth quarter, they came around. And sometimes those first games, because you don't get scrimmages in college, sometimes, especially if you're playing against a team that is pretty decent. Now, if you're playing against a team that's Division II and not no good, like Arkansas played Arkansas Pine Bluff last night, not something like that. But if you're playing against a team that's pretty decent, then you can have a rough start with them. And so SMU, I have at number 9. Number 8, I have Notre Dame. Notre Dame, I have really having a very successful season this season. I could see them going undefeated. They do have a tougher schedule than SMU by far, because they've got to play. Well, they always play USC. They play Florida State this year, which SMU does also. They play. Um, I'm trying to think. They've got Texas A&M tomorrow. So yeah, so that's they definitely have a tougher schedule than SMU, but I've got Notre Dame at number 8. At 7, Ole Miss. 6, Utah. That's right. I got Utah at number 6, and Utah looked really good last night. Not surprising though. Cam Rising is back, and that was the only hiccup for Utah last year was the fact they didn't have good quarterback play. They've got good quarterback play this year, and so yeah, I expect Utah to be a really, really good football team. Miami, that's right. Them Hurricanes, I've got them ranked at number 5. They are loaded this year. It'll be a good game with them, Florida tomorrow, but I have Miami at number 5. Number 4, Ohio State. I know that's a little bit lower than most people. Really, again, because of this is the end of the season poll as well that I'm predicting to be the end of the season poll, and I have them losing to Oregon. So that is why they're ranked this low. Georgia at number 3. I know that's a big surprise to some people, but I really think the SEC is between Georgia and Texas. And I've already said in the SEC show that I have them splitting the series. I have Georgia or Texas win the regular season, Georgia win the SEC. And then I've got Texas at number 2. Okay. Again, it's just those 2 teams right there for the SEC. I mean, it's not just those teams, but those 2 are going to be the teams to be gunning for. And number 1, I've got Oregon. I got the Oregon Ducks at number 1. I think they go through the Big Ten undefeated this year and play Ohio State again in the Big Ten championship. So that's my old man Nate's top 25 for week 1. And we will now head into our college playoff predictions. So here's our playoff bracket. You notice I put all the conferences on the top, and then we got the bowl games at the bottom here that the playoffs are gonna be played at. We got the Peach Bowl, Sugar Bowl, Rose, Orange, the Cotton Bowl, and the Fiesta. By the way, just a reminder real quick. So 5 conference champions, the 5 highest ranked conference champions get automatic bids to the college football playoff. And then the other 7 teams are at large. So Notre Dame's not in the conference. If Notre Dame finishes number 1 in the college football playoff rankings, the highest they could be ranked is 5th. And that's unfortunate for them. They need to get in the conference. All right. And why is that significant? Because you can have a bye the first round. First 4 teams get a bye. Okay. That's why these brackets right here are 1, 4, 2, and 3. Okay. Those people get by, and that could be significant when it comes to rest at the end of the season and injuries. You know, if you've got a key player that's was already sitting out 3 weeks with an injury, and you're expected to have him back that 5th week. Well, that 4th week you got another rest where you worry about injuring nobody else, and you give him time to recover, and get ready for that 5th week. So at number 12, we have Boise State. I got them being the at-large or the non-Power 5 conference champion from the which conference are they in? They are in the Mountain West. So, yeah, Boise State, the Mountain West champions. I got them being that 5th conference champion to get the at-large. And the reason they are number 12 is because they're going to be ranked 12 or lower at the end of the preseason or at the end of the season. If they was ranked 11 through 1, then that would be their position. Okay? That would be their position. All right. At number 11, we have the Clemson Tigers. I don't have Clemson. Clemson's going to be an at-large. I do not have Clemson winning the ACC. At number 10, I have Penn State, a Big Ten at-large team. At number 9, SMU, ACC at large. Like I said, they have that easy schedule. I see them making it to the ACC championship and just making it there. And there's a good chance they could be there undefeated or with one loss. And even with that second loss, there's still a really good chance they make it squeeze into the playoff. At number 8, Notre Dame. I got them going undefeated, but honestly, I don't know why, but I have a lot of teams going undefeated this season. I know that's probably most likely unlikely. So, yeah, but I got Notre Dame at number 8. But again, the highest they could be ranked is 5th. So, at 7, I got the Ole Miss Rebels. And at 6, I got Ohio State Buckeyes. Both Ole Miss and Ohio State are at large for their conferences. Ole Miss for the SEC and Ohio State for the Big Ten. So right now we have one SEC team, 2 Big Ten teams, 2 ACC teams, and then a non-Power 5 team and a Notre Dame at large. At number 5, we have the Texas Longhorns. So that makes the second. I got them being another SEC at large. All right, so that's 2 SEC at large teams I got going in. At number 4, the Big 12 champions, Utah Utes. At number 3, the ACC champion, Miami Hurricanes. At number 2, the SEC champions, Georgia Bulldogs. So again, I have my predictions. I have Texas beating Georgia in the regular season, but Georgia turning the favor on them in the SEC championship. And at number 1, I've got the Oregon Ducks, the Big Ten champions. So we have 1, 2, 3 teams from the Big Ten. 1, 2, 3 teams from the SEC. 1, 2, 3 teams from the ACC. So that's 9 right there. We have an at-large team from Notre Dame, a non-Power 5 conference champion from Boise State, and only 1 Big 12 team making the playoff, and that's the Big 12 champion, Utah. So now we're going to go over our games and see. We'll go down and see who we think will win the national championship. So we have Ohio State and Clemson playing number 6 versus number 11, and I have number 6 Ohio State beating Clemson. Number 7 Ole Miss against number 10 Penn State, and I have number 7 Ole Miss beating Penn State. Number 5 Texas against number 12 Boise State, and I have number 5 Texas winning. Number 8 Notre Dame against number 9 SMU, and I have number 8 Notre Dame winning. So that sets up number 1 Oregon against number 8 Notre Dame in the second round. Number 4 Utah against number 5 Texas. Number 2 Georgia against number 7 Ole Miss. And number 3 Miami against number 6 Ohio State. So let's see who's going to move on to the semifinals. I have number 1 Oregon beating number 8 Notre Dame and advancing to the semifinals. I have number 5 Texas beating the Big 12 champ Utah and advancing to the semifinals against number 1 Oregon. I have number 2 Georgia beating SEC foe Ole Miss, and number 6 Ohio State upsetting the ACC champ number 3 Miami. So our semifinals are number 1 Oregon against number 5 Texas, the Big Ten SEC matchup, and number 2 Georgia against number 6 Ohio State, another Big Ten SEC matchup. So we have 2 Big Ten teams and 2 SEC teams in the semifinals. And who's going to advance on to the finals? I have number 5 Texas beating number 1 Oregon to advance to the national championship. And in the other semifinal game, I have number 2 Georgia beating number 6 Ohio State to advance to the national championship game and making it an all SEC final between Texas and Georgia and playing for the 3rd time this season. Remember, they split so far. I have Texas beating Georgia in the regular season and Georgia beating Texas in the SEC championship. So who's going to be the national champion? I have number 5 Texas being the 2024 national champion. I got to tell you, as a Sooner fan, that pains me to say that. But I just overall, when it comes down to head-to-head, each game head-to-head, not just because I think necessarily Texas is the best team overall, but the way that the teams they had to play and how it came out, I have Texas being this year's national champion. So I appreciate everybody for watching. If you haven't already, please take the time to like, subscribe, and ring the bell. That way you get notified every single time Old Man Nate goes live or drops a video. I'd also appreciate it if you would share this video with your friends that like sports, or especially those that like college football. And from here on out, every week we will be on to drop a video talking about the games that previously played and the games that are upcoming in the week ahead, and give our predictions on games for the week ahead. All right. Again, I appreciate everybody for watching, and we'll see you right here. We'll see you right here next time on Old Man Sports Talk.